I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 6, Episode 15 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, supposed to come out on October 16th, 2023. And we're just going to get right into it today because, mistakes were made, things happened. We did not achieve the the early morning that we thought we would. So we're just going to talk about it. We're not drinking any beers, anything today, but we are drinking brews. I made some cold brew tea from tea that my best friend sends me. It's from Germany. It is a black tea from somewhere in the northern part of Germany that she gets all the time. And then the cold brew coffee is from Amora Coffee, and it is a specially formulated cold brew roast that's just for cold brew.
Okay.
So we're not doing the hidden thing. You know which one's which.
Mm-hmm.
So while I'm sitting here talking, I should kind of make the process. So I took basically a lot of tea, probably a whole bag worth, put it into they're these small, 5-ounce bags.
Yeah, what's the ratio? Like, how much cold tea did you get versus how much hot tea if you'd made it normally?
This is probably more of a concentrate, so I probably could expand that to about a gallon.
Okay.
So it probably would have made about the same amount of hot tea.
Okay.
If I'd have made it normally. So I just took the whole bag and dumped it into half gallon, basically a pint.
Okay.
Of water, and then this is a gallon of coffee from. There's these two bags make a half pint of cold brew, or not a half pint, a half gallon of cold brew.
Okay.
And then I made a full gallon out of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this shouldn't be concentrate, but this kind of is, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest. I like the tea kind of concentrated. That's
nice.
a good tea.
Yeah.
And there's only tea in it. There's nothing else.
No tea, nothing else. It has citrus notes in it because of the type of tea that it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little bit sweet.
Yep.
You could just drink that plain and be perfectly happy with it.
It's not quite the iced tea that I'm used to from back home, but that's orange peacoat, and I'm pretty sure this is not. But now the cold brew coffee, I do enjoy a whole lot. I like it a lot better than I normally do regular coffee.
Yeah, it's a little bit less bitter than if you had made it hot. It's still got a little bit of bitterness to it, but that's probably for the roast for cold brew. Because I've made a lot of cold brew coffees that have no bitterness, but they're normal hot brewing blends.
Yeah.
So yeah, you put maybe a little bit of milk, a little bit of sugar in that. You might not even need the sugar. Milk itself is a little bit sweet. So if you put a little bit of milk in that'd probably take out the little bit of bitterness that's there, and you could just have a little kind of what are those called when it's just the milk?
Latte.
It's like a Americano latte.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So one of the things that I like to do with this is I'll put some milk in it, put some cream in it, or put some oat milk or something like that in it, and it really is formulated for that. But we're just comparing kind of the two. Together because we said that we would. We had actually said we would do yerba mate. Funny story, I think that yerba mate that you gave me got thrown away. When I went to go prepare it last night, I couldn't find it.
No worries.
That's why it's coffee versus tea instead of yerba mate versus tea.
It's okay. I'll bring you some more.
Yeah. So we'll have to do that maybe the next time we record. We'll do that. But I wanted to get one in, and I thought that this black tea would be really good because if you let the Amora sit on your tongue, it has cherry and stone fruit flavors to it. Where if you let this sit on your tongue, it's more citrus and light and floral. Yeah. And I say this, I mean the tea. So I kind of felt like it's a good dichotomy between the two. It's a good comparison. Should you go out and find this tea and get some? Yes, absolutely. It's fantastic tea, whether you do it cold or hot.
Yeah, it really is. With the lighter notes it has, it does just have a light sweetness to it. If you're used to Southern sweet tea, it tastes kind of like a weak half and half. Like when you take half sweet, half unsweet. So that's normally how I drink most of my tea anyway, because full-on Southern sweet tea is incredibly sweet, sweeter than soda. So I don't normally get it that strong for health reasons.
It is a simple syrup.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Now, as a man who grew up in the South and grew up in the country of the South, and my parents and my grandparents, that was like our staple drink. We didn't buy sodas; we had sweet tea.
Yeah,
And like for the longest part of my life, was pretty much addicted to sweet tea. It basically was just a sugar concentrate.
I mean, it really
much.
is. I mean, the way I learned to make it growing up is you add sugar to the boiling water until it stops dissolving. And then you cut that with some more water later. But you essentially make a simple syrup and you add that to the tea until it's as sweet to your liking.
Yeah. We kind of did it a little bit different. Basically, we made a very strong orange pekote. Or orange peacock, and then that was like maybe half a pint of tea, so like 2 cups or something like that.
Yeah, 1 cup if it's half
Yeah,
pint.
and then we would, or yeah, maybe it was a pint, not a half a pint. Sorry,
Half a quart maybe.
Yeah, half a quart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then we would take sugar in hot water. And put that in, and we put in like 4 to 6 cups of sugar, and then we would pour that in, and that concentrate would mix with that, and kind of blend, and then you would adjust it as you needed to, and then you put ice in it until it brought it up to the right thing, and the ice would melt and form
the rest of the water.
the rest of the water. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just was it was a thing, and I don't make that tea anymore except for whenever I'm requested to, because it's delicious. Especially if you put like some fruit in it, like lemon or something like that. It just like really brings out those citrus notes, but it is so bad for you.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
It's ungodly sweet. It's weird to. I know a lot of our listeners are also in the South, from the ones that have reached out to us and talked to us. But if you're not from the South, it is something to experience. It's certainly not a health drink, which is why a lot of places, if you order in a restaurant, most people order like half and half.
Yeah.
Half full sweet, half unsweetened completely, so it just cuts the sugar in half. And at that point, it's a little bit less sweet than soda. It's now like a pleasantly sweet versus a cough.
Well, that is the way it's up here in North Carolina. In South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, where I grew up, it was just straight sweet tea. You just get it. You'd go out and work all day, and they would just bring you sweet tea to like keep your energy level up. Yeah. So. Yeah, it was a thing. No sodas, always sweet tea. And once like you start drinking soda because that's what was available, like at the thing, like you go get a Coke if you were like trying to get refreshed or you were like feeling down or whatever. And the carbonation would make you kind of sick. So if you're working out in the sun, it's a little easier to digest the sweet tea or whatever, I guess. But yeah, it's a thing. So let's talk about some of our travels over the break that we did. So I traveled and you traveled. I traveled twice and you traveled once. You went to Las Vegas. We both went to Las Vegas. And then I went to Canada like during that time period. And when we went, we all carried some gaming peripherals. I noticed that your wife took, because she went to Las Vegas too, she at least took her Switch. Did she take her Steam Deck?
I don't believe so. I think she stuck to the Switch.
Okay. So I took my Steam Deck and my Miyoo Mini, and then I went on a trip recently back out to San Jose, and I took my Switch also, my Switch Lite, not my full Switch. So I thought we could talk a little bit about traveling with those today and like what your experience was versus maybe what some of my experience was. So I'll let you start off because I think you probably have a little bit less to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, when we were traveling to Las Vegas, since it was for work, I had very little time to play games. I did 1 or 2 nights. I played the new Zelda game, and that was fun. Switch obviously held up very well, very travel compatible. We got a nice little travel case for it a while back. That's all thematic, so that all matches. My wife loved it. She loved the longer battery life on it. I think that's the reason why she actually didn't bring the Steam Deck. Well, she was worried about the battery life, which I told her probably wasn't going to be an issue because you'd be in the hotel so much, and she was. So it probably would have worked fine. But it was a good travel experience with it. I mean, we didn't really run into any issues at all.
Yeah, I I think for me, having the comparison of the Switch versus the Steam Deck versus something like a Miyoo Mini, which I took my Miyoo Mini Plus. Um, the thing is, being a large person,
Hmm.
I don't really fit on airplanes, things like that. So having like the Steam Deck and trying to fit on the airplane and like being able to like prop it up or something like that to play a video game or something like that, even though most airplanes now have like a place for you to plug stuff in and you can
Hmm.
do all this other stuff, wasn't as nice of an experience as when I was stuck on layovers. And
Yeah.
then I could pull it out and play a couple of, hours of Baldur's Gate 3 or some Tunic or something like that, which are games that I like to play right now. Also, Dave the Diver, just depending on what's my
Hmm.
whim. And so I felt like that was a really good setup to do, um, and be able to travel with. I didn't really like traveling with my Switch Lite as much. I like the analog triggers on the Steam Deck. The joysticks are a little bit bigger. They feel just it feels like the Switch Lite is for a child,
Hmm.
and the Steam Deck is made for an adult's hands to me.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that if you prefer the Switch over the Steam Deck that that's kind of bad or anything like that. But it really did make it a very different experience for me when I was traveling. And on a plane, I just kind of prefer the Miyoo Mini. I got through most of Final Fantasy Tactics on my plane ride to Canada.
Hmm.
And then being able to have something that's very pocketable that I could just travel around with, just stick it in my pocket and pull it out and play, but has actual physical controls on it because touchscreen controls are great for Android games sometimes,
Yeah.
but having like physical controls is um, really, really the thing that draws me into those sorts of things. So
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, I kind of am trying. I've got this idea. The next time that I travel, I'm going to set you up with a Miyoo Mini. The next time we travel together,
Okay.
and I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to be like, use this on the plane.
Just to see how the plane ride's
Just
like.
see, yeah,
Yeah.
see how this works. Use it while we're in our downtime. Carry it in your pocket. Like give you an assignment, kind of like I did with that the headphone amp like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
listen to this, and see what your thoughts are. Um, I I I think another thing is the Steam Deck can pretty much play any of the games that the Switch can. So like you can I mean emulate them on there if you want to, and you only really need to carry one device. So you get like the best of both worlds at that point in time. You carry the right battery, you've got 10, 12 hours of battery life at that point.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I mean, let's say you buy this, you spend what you could spend for like a gaming laptop. You've got basically all of the Switch games, all that stuff, there, and you've got longer battery life because it's more you can control the TDP of it and stuff like that. I
Hmm.
think that's a good trade off. And which brings me to the next thing. Maybe I'll trade some of that out for something like the AYN Odin. Um, the Odin 2 was, announced. The Indiegogo campaign came out, and I backed it. Um,
Okay.
so we'll see what that's like. Well, so the same people that make the Retroid Pocket 3 and the Retroid Pocket 2 and 2 Plus and
Hmm.
2S and all that stuff, they're also the parent company of AYN. So there's a lot of similarities between these two, like
Yeah.
companies, between the devices, between the hardware, and I like my Retroids a lot. I like traveling with them. I like having them around. They tend to be more relegated to things that I want to have when I'm playing in bed or I'm playing like I don't want to bring out the Steam Deck to play like a bigger game. I just want to bring out my Retroid to be able to just sit there and play something, that's just there,
Yeah.
around. Um, the problem is not all Android games work really well with their button mapper tool with their
Hmm.
layout. You have to like do some funky stuff to make those things work. So I'm not really sure if the AYN Odin is going to be as good. I've seen some people that have done some reviews since it was announced, and then you could do the campaign for it and everything. Um, but it's kind of an expensive device at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I got a little bit of I got a little bit of a thing. I got like a promotion. I got a bonus and things like that. I was like, all right, I'm just going to spend the money. I'm going to buy it. I want to see what it's like. I might sell it after I've had it for a little bit, or maybe it'll be a thing where I'm like, well, you know what? This takes the place of my Pocket 3 Plus, and that thing's gone. I don't know. It's supposed to have analog triggers, and you know how I feel about that. Like, I don't like the clicky, like just on off, digital triggers that a lot of devices have. So, yeah. I feel like I just babbled on for a good 10 minutes. You got anything else to say about either traveling with Kit, or got any questions to ask me about that topic?
No, I mean, other apart than like a good setup can really make travel much, much easier. The trips I've taken that have been very hastily planned, that I didn't have too much with me, or like I naively thought, oh, well, I'll do work on my laptop and then it doesn't open all the way because of how small my seat is.
Yep.
Compared to the ones where I go in, download a bunch of music, get a couple games on my phone, stuff like that. So much simpler, so much nicer.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely worth the investment in thinking a bit about what you want to travel with, or going out and buying something to travel with, like the Miyoo Minis. They're not that expensive.
Yeah.
Those sort of deals. So yeah. I can definitely see it. I mean, it's for someone who's going to travel, especially if you're traveling frequently, definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of our listeners also know that because they've reported that they do the same thing. Well, this will be a shorter episode. Probably the next two will also be a little bit shorter. But thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.